In the headlines, 24-hour curfew imposed in Mangu local government area of Plateau State as Governor Muftuang calls for calm. 2 gunmen killed in Anambra after attack on vigilantes. National Judicial Court says order restraining NLC and TUC from embarking on strike subsists. And on the foreign scene, 3 killed, at least 38 others injured as Israeli forces raid Germain camp. Hello and welcome to Trust TV News Update. I am Abdullahi Ahmed. All right, we start in Plateau State, where a 24-hour curfew has been imposed on Mangu local government area of the state following a renewed attack on some communities. A statement by the chairman of the Interim Management Committee, Marcus Artu, on Monday indicated that no vehicular movement of any sort would be allowed during the curfew hours. It also noted that all movement on motorcycles had been banned until further notice, as only security and workers on essential duty will be allowed to operate within the local government. In the meantime, Governor Caleb Mutfwang has called on citizens to exhibit the spirit of calmness, tolerance and forgiveness over the recent incidents that led to the loss of lives in Mangu. The governor, in a solidarity message to the people, reiterated the government's determination to build a new and united Plateau State where all shades of opinions from law-abiding citizens would be accommodated for the safety and progress of the state. In a statement by its Director of Press and Public Affairs, Bere Gyang, the governor called on religious, traditional and community leaders to commence with immediate effect the process of confidence building among citizens affected by the sad events in order to strengthen intercommunal relations. Earlier, we spoke to Daily Trust correspondent Ado Musa, who is in Plateau State, and he gave us the situation report.
We can say that yes, peace has returned in that particular local government, particularly Mangu town of Mangu local government area, following the deployment of security personnel. And according to sources from the area, the whole thing started after an Okada man was killed, who said to be a member of one ethnic group, and realizing that that person was killed, members of that particular ethnic group that their members were killed also launched a revenge on a member of that particular group that their members was killed. So after everything, before you know, crisis started between Magavul and Fulani ethnic groups. And like you know, prior the occurrence of yesterday's clash, there has been malice and ethnic intolerance between Magavul and Fulani communities since May, after an attack was launched on 2 Magavul communities, where more than 150 people were killed. And after that incident, there were also reports of reprisal on Fulani communities. So since then, there has been malice and ethnic intolerance between the 2 groups, despite series of meeting or peace meeting held to at least bring the 2 warring parties together. Even with these meetings, malice for that killing continue in that particular local government area. Well, I can tell you that the traditional rulers have done their best, because I could remember after the May incident, stakeholders, including the governor, held a peace meeting between Magavul community and Fulani community, where all of them agreed to shed their sword, all of them agreed to live together.
Now, the chief imam of Uso community, Ibrahim Bodunde Oyinlade, who was abducted by gunmen on his farm on Saturday afternoon, has regained his freedom. The public relations officer of the Ondo State Police Command, SP Fumilayo Odunlami Omisanya, confirmed this to reporters on Monday. He revealed that the victim was released late Sunday evening, but couldn't say if any ransom was paid to the abductors before the release of the cleric. The chief imam was abducted on Saturday by some yet to be identified gunmen in Owo local government area of Ondo State. The 67-year-old Islamic cleric was reportedly taken from his farm at Asolo camp at about 3 p.m. According to a family source, the kidnappers had contacted the family demanding ransom to be paid before his release. Now, the police in Anambra State have confirmed the killing of 2 gunmen who attacked the camp of the Anambra Vigilante Service on Monday. The attack occurred in Okija, Ihiala local government area of the state, which borders Imo State and has witnessed many terror attacks by gunmen. A source says about 15 armed men attacked the camp of the vigilantes in the early hours of Monday and opened fire on them, but were quickly repelled by security agents. He added that vigilantes did not record any casualty. Confirming the incident, the police spokesperson in the state, DSP Tochukwu Ikenga, called on private and public hospitals to report any patient with bullet wounds. Ikenga said a joint security team was mopping the area to arrest the fleeing gunmen, adding that no life was lost on the part of the vigilante operatives. Now, the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal has again adjourned the petition filed before it by the Allied People's Movement till June 21st for hearing. The court had fixed June 19 to commence the hearing of the petition filed by the APM, challenging the victory of President Bola Tinubu and Vice President Kashim Shettima of the All Progressives Congress in the February 25th election. At the resumed hearing, the party asked for a one-week adjournment, which was turned down by the court. Now, the party had applied to the court for a date to commence hearing on its petition against the result of the presidential election, which had earlier been delayed over their inability to obtain a Supreme Court judgment. The ruling of the Apex Court being sought is the recent judgment which dismissed the People's Democratic Party's suit seeking to nullify President Tinubu's election. The presiding judge, Haruna Tsammani, after listening to both sides, granted the application and adjourned the case to Wednesday, June 21st, for commencement of the hearing. Now, the National Industrial Court on Monday declared that the order restraining the Nigeria Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress from embarking on their planned industrial actions still subsists. Justice of Olufunke Anue stated that the order, as granted on June 5th, subsists pending the hearing and determination of the motion on notice. The court, in addition, ordered that the parties maintain the status quo and adjourn the matter until July 20th for a hearing. Earlier, the case was called. The federal government's counsel, Ochum Emmanuel, informed the court that the matter was slated for Monday for the claimant to take its motion on notice for an interlocutory injunction to restrain the defendants from embarking on industrial action. The defendants' counsel, Marshal Abubakar, on his part, however, replied that they had filed an application praying to the court to set aside its order granted on June 5th, restraining his clients from embarking on a strike action. He also prayed for a short adjournment to look at the counter affidavit and respond. Now, President Bola Tinubu will on Thursday, June 22nd, make his first official trip overseas since his assumption of office and inauguration as Nigeria's new leader. The president will join world leaders in Paris, France, according to his special advisor on special duties, communications, and strategy, Dele Alake. In a statement on Monday, Alake says the president will join other world leaders to review and sign a new global financial pact that places vulnerable countries on a priority list for support and investment following the devastating impact of climate change, energy crisis, and the after effect of the COVID-19 pandemic. The summit, which will be hosted by President Emmanuel Macron of France, will be held at the Palais Brongniart. Meanwhile, the president on Monday met with Africa's business tycoon Aliko Dangote and co-chair of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation at the presidential villa in Abuja. This was part of the Gates Foundation's commitment to work closely with communities and leaders to support innovation and discuss global health and development with national and local leaders. Now, Governor Mai Mala Buni of Yobe State has appointed Babawali as the acting secretary to the state government. This was contained in a statement by Buni's Director General Press and Media Affairs, Mamman Muhammad, in Damaturu on Monday. According to the statement, the governor has also approved the appointment of Alhaji Abdullahi Gashua as his acting chief of staff. The statement says both appointments will take immediate effect. Wali and Gashua had served on substantive capacities before they were relieved of their duties following the dissolution of the State Executive Council in May. You're watching the news update on Trust TV. Still to come. NAFDAC raises alarm over dangerous unapproved products. We have details coming up ahead.
That's good.
Welcome back to Trust TV News Update. Thank you very much for staying with us. First, here's a recap of our top stories at this hour. A 24-hour curfew has been imposed in Mangu local government of area of Plateau State as Governor Muftuan calls for calm. 2 gunmen have been killed in Anambra after a violent attack on vigilantes. Now, the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria, NAHCON, has cautioned Nigerian pilgrims to avoid the consumption of bushmeat, hides, popularly known as pomo, smoked meat, and others in view of the outbreak of anthrax disease in the West African sub-region. The NAHCON Commissioner in charge of health, Dr. Said Ahmed Dumbulwa, says the caution was necessary in view of the trans-border trade between Ghana, Togo, and Burkina Faso that has so far confirmed the outbreak of anthrax disease in some parts of their respective territories and Nigeria. He said NAHCON swiftly issued the advisory to pilgrims for fear of contact with Muslim brothers and sisters from these countries who would be taking part in this year's Hajj exercise in Saudi Arabia, although might not necessarily be infected by the disease, but for precautionary measures. The National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, has raised an alarm over the nationwide proliferation of unapproved herbal products, which it described as dangerous. The NAFDAC Director General, Professor Mojisola Adeye, told journalists in Abuja on Monday that most of the herbal medicines were in the form of snuff and oral liquids, which she said were mainly sold by street hawkers. She also noted that the enforcement team of the agency was commencing a nationwide clampdown on the manufacturers and traders who sell such unspecified or uncertified products. The agency has also commenced a nationwide mop-up of a substance preferred or referred to as Sacra herbs, which is currently in circulation. In other news, report from the United Nations Office on Drug and Crime in Nigeria indicates that 14.3 million people aged between 15 and 64 abuse drugs in Nigeria. The Secretary of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, Shedrack Haruna, said this at an event to flag off a week-long activity marking this year's World Drug Day themed People First, Stop Stigma and Discrimination, Strengthen Prevention across the country. Noel Sampson reports.
Drug abuse is when a person takes more than the recommended dosage of drugs. According to the agency, efforts were made to cut down the supply of drugs in the country by making significant arrests across the country.
In 29 months, we have arrested 31,675 drug offenders, including 35 barons. We have successfully prosecuted and convicted 5,147 of them, and over 11,000 other cases still pending in court nationwide, while 23,725 drug users have been counseled and rehabilitated, majority of them through brief interventions. In the same vein, about 6.3 million kilograms of various illicit substances have been recovered and in response to our effort to strip up drugs and shut down distribution channels. We have destroyed 852.142 hectares of cannabis farm and dismantled 3 clandestine methamphetamine laboratories.
Similarly, the country director, United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, said the organization is dealing with many issues in order to reduce the flow of illicit drugs.
Is first and foremost to even further strengthen our collective efforts to increase the capabilities and benefits of international cooperation in criminal justice matters, with a specific target of dismantling the trafficking networks involved in this terrible trade. Secondly, I think long overdue is to make sure that the primary health care providers are better prepared to take care of basic drug counseling needs, of knowing how to deal with people suffering from drug use disorders, and that needs to be rolled out. We need to further improve on the availability of treatment capacities.
Drug abuse also plays a role in many major societal problems such as drug driving, violence, stress, and child abuse. Drug abuse can lead to homelessness, crime, and missed work or problems with keeping job. It harms urban babies and destroys family. Noel Samson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Now, the Disciplinary Tribunal of the Pharmacy Council of Nigeria has suspended 4 pharmacists for unethical practices and misconduct. They were suspended for offences ranging from making false statements to the council for the purpose of procuring the registration of new pharmaceutical premises, diversion of company funds and pharmaceutical products, holding dual employment, and fraud, such as falsifying remitter retrieval reference payment receipt to the PCN, among others. The tribunal suspended 2 of the pharmacists for 3 years, one for 33 months and the other one for a year. In the judgment, the chairman of the governing council of the PCN, Professor Ahmed Tijani Mora, who is also the chairman of the tribunal, says the 4 pharmacists deviated from the ethical standard of pharmacy practice in the country. He says the names of the 4 pharmacists would be deleted from the register of registered pharmacists in Nigeria for the period of the suspension. The Nigerian Meteorological Agency, NIMET, has predicted cloudiness and thunderstorms from Monday to Wednesday across the country. NIMET's weather outlook, released on Sunday, predicted a cloudy atmosphere on Monday with patches of clouds over the northern region, with prospects of morning thunderstorms over parts of Adamawa, Kaduna, and Taraba states. NIMET also forecast thunderstorms over parts of Sokoto, Zamfara, Borno, Taraba, Adamawa, Kaduna, Kano, Katsina, Bauchi, Jigawa, Gombe, and Kebbi states. The agency anticipated a sunny atmosphere on Tuesday with patches of clouds over the northern region and the prospect of morning thunderstorms over parts of Sokoto, Kebbi, Taraba, and Adamawa states. It predicted thunderstorms over parts of Katsina, Kaduna, Borno, Adamawa, and Taraba states, and thunderstorms over parts of Nasarawa and Kogi states. According to NIMET, for areas where thunderstorms are expected, strong winds are likely to precede the rains, and as such, trees, electric poles, unsecured objects, and weak buildings may be felled. The agency advised the public to be cautious, stay indoors, especially during the heavy rainfall, to avoid being struck by lightning. We'll take another break. More news coming up ahead. Stay with us. Welcome back to the news update. We take a look at developments now on the international scene as Israeli forces have raided the Jenin refugee camp, killing 3 Palestinians and wounding at least 38 people. The raid began early Monday morning with Israeli soldiers stomping the camp, firing live ammunition, stun grenades and toxic gas. The Palestinian Ministry of Health has identified the victims as Khalid Dawish, 21, Qassam Saria, age 19, and Ahmed Sakr, age 15. The Israeli military says the raid was to arrest 2 suspects and that Israeli soldiers came under fire, which resulted in a massive exchange of gunfire. One of the suspects they were after was the son of an imprisoned Hamas leader. As the Israeli military vehicles were exiting the camp, the army statement reads, a military vehicle was hit by an explosive device, damaging the vehicle, after which military helicopters shot towards the gunmen to help the forces exit. In sports, Kenneth Omeruo will miss Super Eagles' next game against Sao Tome and Principe. The Leganese centre-back was booked in the 46th minute of Nigeria's 2023 Africa Cup of Nations qualifier against Sierra Leone on Sunday night. It was Kenneth Omeruo's second caution in the qualifying series, which effectively rules him out of the next game. The defender picked up his first yellow card in the qualifiers against Guinea-Bissau on match day 4. Omeruo becomes the 3rd Nigerian to be suspended in the AFCON qualifier after Olaina and Francis Unzoho. The Super Eagles will host Sao Tome and Principe in a dead rubber clash in September, having already qualified for Côte d'Ivoire 2023. And that's it on the updates at this hour. Thank you very much for your time and company. Feel free to follow us across our social media platform. You can always catch up on our YouTube stream. My name is Abdullahi Ahmed. Thank you for watching.